Thanks for tuning in to LRGA Curves. Make sure you smash that like button and smash that subscribe button. Today, we are discussing part 2 of our dissection of that Sharon Osborne, Cheryl Underwood talk on The Talk. We got to get started with this copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. So I'm not using this to infringe. I'm using this so that we can have open dialogue about what we are witnessing in this talk between Sharon, Elaine, and Cheryl, as well as the other girl who I honestly don't know her or her name, really. I think it might be Amanda. On the talk show that happened on March 10th, Wednesday, March 10th. And we are just going to get right into this part 2 where Sharon is in the throes of defending herself for defending Pierce Morgan and his views on life. Here we go. Let's get started. I'm going to rewind it. Turn it up.
This is the situation. Yes. You tell me where you have heard him say, how can I?
Well,
what? I have a friend who many people think is a racist, so that makes me a racist. And for me, at 68 years of age, to have to turn around and say, I ain't racist. What's it got to do with me? Okay,
she was
how can I be
there.
racist about anybody? How can I be racist about anybody or anything in my life? How can I?
Well,
what?
We'll be right back.
What?
We have more topics, so don't go away.
And I think we should stop this.
So she's swearing some more. So again, this is for fair use.
We're live TV right now, but I want you to hear from me.
I will ask you again, Cheryl.
Yes.
I've been asking you during the break. I am asking you again. And don't try and cry, because if anyone should be crying, it should be me. This is the situation. Yes. You tell me where you have heard him say, educate me. Tell me. If anyone should...
But I want you to hear from me.
I will ask you again, Cheryl. Yes. I've been asking you during the break. I am asking you again. And don't try and cry, because if anyone should be crying, it should be me. This is the situation. Yes. You tell me where you have heard him say, educate me. Tell me when you have heard him say racist things. Educate me. Tell me.
It is not the exact words of racism. It's the implication and the reaction to it. To not want to address that because she is a black woman and to try to dismiss it or to make it seem less than what it is. That's what makes it racist. But right now, I'm talking to a woman who I believe is my friend. And I don't want anybody here to watch this and say that we're attacking you for being racist. And for that, if I articulated
I think it's too late. I think that
she gets to cry, but
that is
Cheryl
I'm saying
doesn't get
for
to cry.
me.
Whatever.
I'm saying for
we'll
me.
talk about it.
For me.
Leave a comment about that. How do you feel about that?
A question about the perception for other people. That's why I prefaced it with, I've never heard you utter anything racist,
disclaimer.
But I have.
We're just going to be discussing this for research.
That Pierce was racist in his stance against Meghan Markle, and the last time he was on this show, I said as much. I said it when he was on this show.
And what was his answer to you?
He didn't feel that. He didn't feel that it was racist. He didn't feel that the racial statements that he was making were racist. But I was talking to him.
Okay, answer me this one, okay? Because I don't know. I don't understand. If he doesn't like someone, and I think this is for everybody who is born white, if Piers doesn't like someone and they happen to be black, does that make him a racist?
No.
That's a no.
No.
Right. So why can't it be he just doesn't like her? Why does it have to be racist?
It's almost like, oh, I'm sorry, Cheryl.
No, you go
It's
ahead.
almost like yesterday when you were talking, Mrs. O, it sounded like he was really upset about, what you were saying is a royalist. Like, he is just so, like, deep into
he is.
honoring the crown and honoring, and do I agree with what he said? No, like you.
No, I
Do
don't
I
agree.
think he should have walked off set? No. Do I think he should have sat there and listened to his other co-hosts like we're doing right now and having a conversation and learning from each other? I think that's what corrective evolution is about.
I think, in fact, the gentleman that was asking Piers the question, the other gentleman that came on and was talking to Piers, who Piers walked out on,
See
was
that
right,
nice
what he
save
was
that
saying.
lady gave her?
I do agree. I agree with him. He was right to challenge Piers on, you never let this go. You know, why are you doing this? And Piers got up and walked out. He didn't answer it. But no, I need to know these things if people are going to call me racist, that you can dislike somebody because of their soul, of their personality, if they are of color, without being called a racist.
Well, the weatherman who was bringing that to his attention is biracial, my understanding.
I know that.
And
I know that. I know the guy.
Right.
She's
and
very
so,
snippy
to
with
me,
Cheryl.
I think where the
She conceded to that other
racial
lady.
and racist discussion comes in, it's the bias, the bias that's coming out of you to say because there's a difference between bigotry, prejudice, and racism. And to speak upon something and not accept that what she is saying, what Megan has been saying, it could be true. And the responses to that could be true. And the fact that you don't even want to take into consideration that her desire to want to end her own life is connected to her
Copyright
race.
disclaimer.
That
Fair use.
dismissal makes it a racist situation. But I'm going to stop talking because there are more of us on this panel. Would you like to weigh in any way?
Look, save
This
me,
is
girl.
challenging. This is a really challenging thing to have to talk about on national television.
She's uncomfortable.
I think when people like Pierce, which we should keep it about Pierce, I think, when they are more outraged at being called a racist than actually acknowledging the racism, I think that's the problem, right? Like in this moment with the interview with Meghan and Harry and
Copyright
Oprah,
disclaimer.
Meghan and Harry had actual receipts, which is sometimes racism is so you don't have as clear evidence, right?
What do you mean by
I just want to finish. They told a really compelling story around the way that racism showed up for them in their experience, right? And Pierce's inclination, rather than acknowledging that racism, was to protect the royal family. And that's where, if he could say, you're right, that if that happened, that was terribly racist. And I have seen these headlines and I acknowledge that there is racism at play here. If he did that, I think that you're entitled to the rest of your opinions, but when you bypass her experience, you don't acknowledge that experience of racism, you are distracting with all of this other information about being a royalist. And I don't know much about, I truly am so ignorant, Sharon, about the royal anything.
You're not, because it's of another generation. It's an archaic institution.
Okay.
It's archaic.
She calmed down a
Because
lot,
to me,
huh?
and I hope that this doesn't trigger you or people at home, but I wonder if there's an equivalence here. Tell me if I'm wrong. But when I hear royalist, it almost sounds to me like it's almost the same thing as people who celebrate pre-Civil War culture, like antebellum, the old ways of doing things, you know, where anything that came along with that culture is almost sacred. And in this case,
it's a different country, it's a different culture. And royalists, people who respect the Queen and live by the Queen's
save.
rules.
So they're going to stop talking about
he can't hold the Queen accountable. I guess
all
that's
the
my
racism
question.
stuff,
Like,
but we'll let them
he was posed with the
naturally
question,
in their
hey,
conversation.
let's honor our Queen
Here on LRGA
and let's
Curves,
celebrate
make sure
the
you
Queen when the
smash
Queen
that
does
like
things
button.
that are good.
Smash that
but when the
subscribe
Queen
button.
does things or permits things that are questionable, how come we can't love, honor, and hold her accountable without it becoming divisive?
Even
They
they
still love her.
supported the Queen. They
love her
were
and
praising her that whole interview.
Right. So that's
Over
what's
and over
confusing
and
to me.
over.
Is it like
Copyright.
love and honor means
Fair use
completely
disclaimer.
ignore any bad behavior and don't ever speak of it? Like, is that what we're saying? Like,
Or
we
does
have
she
to-
not
question,
hold the power
Elaine.
that we all think that she
That's
has? Can
possible.
she not actually do any change? Does she?
Amanda
I don't know, Mrs. O.
has
Does
a
that?
question.
Can she?
She could have said something. She could have got up and made a speech at any time. She could have been, she has the freedom to go
Sorry
and
about
make
that,
a
Minka.
speech. She could have done an interview about it, whatever. She had the power to stand up and say this isn't right. As far as the British press, the way you were treating a member of our family, this is